Welcome to today's WordStream webinar, 5 recent AdWords changes that will totally change your campaigns. My name's Callie, and I'm just here to get things started. So I just want to get all of the logistics out of the way so we can get straight to the fun, and I can hand it over to our presenters today. So following our presentation, you will receive an email with today's recordings and slides for you guys to review, share with colleagues, whatever you wish. We will also have a dedicated time for Q&A, so don't be shy. Definitely submit your questions throughout the presentation, and we will get to as many as possible. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with WordStream, we are a search marketing software provider with free and paid tools to help you easily grow your AdWords, Bing, and Facebook campaigns. So if you're looking to master paid search or really anything digital marketing related, check out PPC University at wordstream.com/learn. You also can check out our blog. It's kind of a one-stop shop for all things related to paid search and paid social and really anything going on in the industry. It's a great resource for you guys to continue learning and being clued in on all breaking news and everything like that. Now, we encourage you to be social throughout the presentation today and join in on the conversation on Twitter and follow at WordStream and at Aaron Sagan and at Mark Irvine89, our two presenters today. Now, I have the great pleasure of introducing our presenters. First up, we have Mark. He is our senior data scientist here at WordStream. He's been here for about 3 years, and you can definitely find him on Twitter, so definitely check him out there. And next up, we have Erin, our PPC evangelist and community manager. She's been at WordStream for a little longer than Mark, for over 4 years now, I think almost 5.
5 years in October.
We'll have to have a party for you. And you can see Erin at Aaron Sagan. And now I'm going to pass it over to these two experts.
Thank you, Callie. That was a very nice introduction. We are so pumped to be here today. Google has announced some really cool stuff, and we're just really excited to be the ones sharing it with you, doing the deep dive on all of these changes. And I think there are going to be some really powerful things to walk through. So to kick things off, back on May 24th, just a little over a month ago, Google announced some of the largest changes ever to the AdWords platform and program. And these changes aren't specific to one industry, a particular type of advertiser. They're important because they affect every single person out there. So nearly everything we do with AdWords has changed from like how ads are going to look, where our ads are going to appear, who sees them, and then most importantly, how we manage our campaigns. So there's going to be a lot of tactical changes that we as account managers are going to have to make as a result of these changes, not just to take advantage of them, but in some ways reactive to them. And it's going to be a little bit of a learning process since this is all new. But it's definitely something that it's important to be on top of. And kudos to all of you for showing up to this webinar and getting an early handle on these changes. I also want to point out that Bing has a couple of surprises they've tacked on as well. So as we go through the AdWords changes, we'll also let you know what's happening on the Bing front. Now, we've been very fortunate here at WordStream. We have a really close relationship with Google, and they've given us early access to a number of these changes. They actually bring our dev teams on and invite Larry, our founder, out to hear about a lot of this stuff early. And our managed services team has had the opportunity to play with almost all of these new tools as they're in a beta format. So the reason that this brilliant data scientist, Mark, is here today is he is going to share what we know about these changes, having already used them, to help you understand what we're finding are new best practices or insights that we're gaining from them. I do want to point out before we go too deep into this, most of these things are not yet available to the broader public. They're things that Google knows it's definitely coming out with. They're on their roadmap, but you won't see it in AdWords tomorrow. This is for learn, and then when it comes out, you're going to be ready to go. So I just wanted to give you that heads up that you won't see it in there today. All right. So change number 1, and is this the one you're most excited about? I think this is the one this one and number 5. We put the best at the beginning of the ad.
Right. So this is probably like the biggest thing that people got real hyped about in May when they announced it. And I know I actually received the email from Google announcing this back in April. It was like during the Boston Marathon. And it was like legitimately, I almost wanted to go home and like work for a bit because it was like
you're a loser.
Because I'm a loser. But mostly it's just like it genuinely is the biggest change that I've ever seen in my experience working paid search. When I received that email, it was by this Google rep whom genuinely is very rarely ever very excited about things, but she described this as the biggest change in paid search in the 16-year history of AdWords.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you compare this to enhanced campaigns, which enhanced campaigns I felt was like life-changing at the time, this is bigger. This is more exciting, and this is going to impact people in a greater way.
Everyone.
Yeah, everybody.
So expanded text ads.
Expanded text ads. Here are text ads as we know and may not necessarily love them today. Pretty straightforward, right, guys? You have that 25-character headline, 35-character display URL, 2 description lines of 35 characters, and that comes down to 95 characters max. And we've all been here. It's painful to write ads. You have to be super selective about what you're saying, how you're saying it. It's harder than writing a tweet. Your options are very limited in terms of what you can say in a mere 95 characters. And it's almost like the better wordsmith you are, the more screwed you are with these things.
Right.
Because they allow no creativity, nothing exciting. Like, you're using the shortest words you can find. So, excited to be sharing with you expanded text ads. And as you can see here, the formula for expanded text ads looks way different than that of the standard text ad. So we're seeing 2 headlines of 30 characters, your display URL, of course. Description line is 80 characters. So you get
going from 70 characters between 2 lines of description text to 80.
Yeah. The main thing is, like, you're getting another headline, you have a little bit more space in the description area, and as you can see, these things look totally different. And Mark and I were talking about it earlier, and we were like, we should have guessed that this was coming because the writing was on the wall. We saw Google change the SERP. Well, first, we saw Google trying those like expanded headlines, the really long headlines where they would move description line 1 up to the top, giving you the mega headline. And then
in February, they got rid of everything on the right side of the SERP.
Clearing out space.
So there's a big white space there now. And lo and behold,
expanded text ads. So we should have seen the writing on the wall, but really Google has had this in mind for a while. They've been prepping it for a while. They obviously had to make some very, very big changes to implement it, but felt so passionately about doing so that we now have expanded text ads coming out. And they're twice the size of your regular old ads. And with twice the surface area to write in, just think of what you'll be able to do. If you thought you were good at writing ads before, you're going to be pretty freaking amazing now with that extra space and more room to kind of preach your products.
Right, and like if you're not great at writing ads now, and I'll be the first one to say, writing 90-character ads isn't my favorite thing to do. This gives you opportunity to write something new.
Right, yeah. So we're really excited about this. We have a couple predictions for it. I can show you what's going on already. I will let Mark take the reins here since he's been the one actually doing these. So tell us about your experience.
Okay, so you go into AdWords right now, and if you want to create expanded text ads, this is exactly what you see. It's going to prompt you to go through that format of writing headline 1, headline 2, defining that path of, obviously, you no longer need to write out your full display URL. Google's going to read the domain of your final URL or where you're sending traffic of your landing page. It's going to take that domain and put it right in there for you. not going to count characters on there.
Way easier.
Right. Like, it used to be one of those things, like, I would have conversations with clients, and let's say their domain name was 25 characters. Can't really do a whole lot with that. Right. Now, that's not part of your character limit. So your domain name is just automatically in there, whether it's a .com, a .org, a .co.uk. It's right in there. And you can specify 2 paths, 15 characters each after that. That's just basically free opportunity for you to keyword or offer stuff right in your display URL. Write a long line of description text, and that's your ad. And so right now, if you we have the option, we can create these expanded text ads. We're still able to go in and create our standard 35, 25, 25 standard, sorry, 25, 35, 35, already out of my mind. You can still write those standard ads, and you can still create both, still manage both at the same time, but that will be changing in the future. Expanded text ads are what Google is going to be rolling into 2017 with, and there will be a point at which you can no longer create those standard text ads.
And so that's an important thing to point out is oftentimes when AdWords releases something, they give a really, really long grace period, and they don't necessarily force you to make the change. You can kind of choose to use it or not. This isn't going to be one of those things. I mean, there will be a grace period. Mm-hmm. However, when they make the change, they make the change, and you cannot just rely on those old text ads anymore. Right.
There's going to be a day at which you're not going to be able to create traditional text ads.
Right.
That you're going to be creating, that we'll no longer even call these expanded text ads. We'll just call them text ads. And we'll call the old text ads small, awful text ads.
The old text ads.
Oh, text ads. And it's worth noting that one thing that you lose when we have these expanded text ads is these text ads, expanded text ads automatically shape and form to serve on all different devices. And we lose the ability to create, there's no longer this mobile preferred aspect that you have when you create standard ads, where you can set a mobile preferred ad to just show on mobile. Expanded text ads don't have a device preference. They're going to show on all devices, and you won't be able to have that mobile preferred ad copy in the future. And this change happens to not be unique to just Google. We happen to have early access to the Google text ads. We've had the opportunity to play around with them some, to create some in our accounts. But what we see is that Bing is actually following suit. They announced earlier this month on their blog that they too would have this expanded text ad format, following that two headlines of 30 characters, and then a giant 80 character description text, as well as 2 path fields as well.
Yeah, and doing this, I think, is, let's be honest, a lot of people are applying what they're doing in AdWords to Bing. They're not writing separate ads for Bing, and Bing recognizes it would be a huge nightmare for these people to make the change on one side and not on the other. So I love that they've kind of followed suit and are giving people this opportunity, and it'll definitely make, like, if you're the type of person who's importing your AdWords account to run on Bing, it'll make your life way easier. So there should be no concerns about kind of having that symbiotic relationship between the two.
Right. So in terms of what we talk about for a roadmap, today, last month, Google announced that these expanded text ads were coming, and they began testing it in beta to a select number of advertisers. Had the opportunity to play around with it, seeing some good stuff that I'll dive into a little bit later. But later on, Bing, when they made the announcement, they said that they would have this up and running sometime by the end of summer of this year. Mm-hmm. Right now, Google is saying that by late August or early September, that these expanded text ads will be available to all advertisers. So right now, it's currently in beta. It will be rolling out slowly to other advertisers as Google really perfects the product. But I would expect all advertisers to have access to it by beginning of Q4, so really great in time for the holidays. And then sometime later in Q4, Google is going to sunset the ability to create and edit existing traditional ads.
Now, one thing that I think is really important to recognize here, okay, most of us are not going to have access to this until Google releases it in late August, early September. But that doesn't mean there aren't actionable steps that you can take now. Because especially if you have a larger account, and Mark knows because Mark has been slaving over ads for the last couple of weeks, it is really hard to rewrite all of your ads. So get a head start on this. You know exactly what the formula is going to be. Start writing your ads. Start writing your ads now so you can take advantage of it when it comes out, not be in panic mode the day it rolls out and your clients or your boss is like, hey, rewrite every ad in this account and your August vacation is kaput.
I learned that lesson the hard way in May. That like don't try and do this at 11 p.m. the night before. I felt like I was back in school, to be honest. Trying to rewrite a paper, rewrite entire slate of ad copy, because when hey, you guys know it's coming. You guys have several months. Take the summer.
Yeah.
Genuinely take the summer. Get on it.
You will love yourself.
Yeah. Be ready that when you have in your accounts, you don't need to sit down and have a meeting, talk to your clients, get them to buy in. You're familiar with the structure. The structure is not going to change. You can get ahead of this one.
Yep.
So what we've been seeing in accounts that have this beta is when it first rolled out, Google was, as with any beta test, Google's not going to just go and stick it on every SERP. It wasn't eligible in all the auctions to show even. Originally, these expanded text ads would only show roughly 10% of the time when they were in an ad group with standard text ads. But as Google really prepares for general release, we're seeing it begin to test more and more. A couple weeks ago, it was showing roughly 40% of the time. Starting this past weekend, it started showing roughly 70% of the time. In terms of like what that means to me and data scientists, having worked with other products in beta, being a software company ourselves, I understand that's how you test new features, that as you share with more and more advertisers, as you're ready to show the product to more and more people, it kind of shows confidence in the fact that these are going to be rolling out considerably faster than they have over the past month. So don't be shocked if you start seeing other advertisers start seeing these expanded text ads on the SERP. And if you start seeing more opportunities, if you're in this beta, for you to show. So what have we seen?
That's the important part,
curious.
Yeah.
What's the big takeaway from this? How are they performing? We're seeing typically great click-through rate gains with this, obviously. Mm-hmm. Just the fact that it's a larger ad, it's got more stuff that you can put in there. Like all those things that you've been choking back because you've been trying to fit into 90 characters, this is your opportunity. I've got 11 accounts in it right now, or I've had 11 accounts in it for about a month now. And we're looking at just their click-through rate gains in the ad groups with these expanded text ads. We see that I've got some people in here, they're doubling or even getting a plus 132% of their click-through rate, like crazy.
And in one change.
One change. Write a new ad, have 40 more characters in it. Right. Doing amazing. But the median click-through rate gain is I'm getting between 25, 30% click-through rate gains. It's still significant. Great gains for the first month of ad testing.
And the other thing that we're not even thinking about here is like clicks don't want to happen, right? There's sometimes that you like write your ad to pre-qualify people and make it clear what you do so they don't click on your ad if they're not a good fit. So this is also going to help in that regard. It can help you share more information to inform the searcher prior to that click. So even aside from the click-through rate gains, there's other gains that we're seeing as well.
Right. Obviously, more clicks, more traffic to your site traditionally means more conversions. It also means more spend. There are genuine consequences people are going to deal with this in terms of budget planning and conversion rate optimization. Even just staffing your call centers, if that's what you're doing. You have to be prepared for this volume of leads off of one change. But it's worth noting that, so I've got 11 people here, and kind of black sheep in the room is the fact that not everyone, I've got 2 people at the very left side of this graph that actually have seen decreases in click-through rate. And so we have to talk about, like, well, what's unique about people who are doing poorly? What are people doing wrong? And it's actually kind of funny. One thing that we realized amongst the people who are doing poorly on expanded text ads happens to be something that Google, when they made this announcement, showed everyone in the room. So this is an expanded text ad for Guitar Center. And if you look at the Guitar Center ad, like, it's honestly what a lot of advertisers who were scrambling on time probably would have done if you told them, like, hey, have to create a second headline. And they took their existing headline, they combined their lines of description text, and then just wrote something else with the extra characters. And like, this is kind of, it's really tempting. It's really lazy though.
It's like adding a tagline.
Yeah, I think that the big thing is, like, here Guitar Center has 50% more text, and they didn't change what they said.
Yeah.
They still came out there and said, this is Guitar Center site. Everything you need for all your music needs in one place. That's the exact same ad across the...
What? I had no idea.
There's no real change, and
Right.
also what we're seeing is our advertisers who did similar kinds of things where they didn't really change what they said aren't seeing a gain in click-through rate from this. In fact, some of them actually saw a decline in click-through rate from this.
It's not just about adding more words. It's about adding more, being smart about it, providing the offer that you want to provide.
Right. So the big thing here is that the expanded text ads give you the ability to say more. Please say more. Use that space. Almost take this as an opportunity to look through your account, look at your ads, and write brand new ads. This client, you know, they do performance review software, great. It's not a super sexy thing to sell, particularly in 90 characters. But you gave them 140 characters, and they rewrote their ads entirely. Talk about performance reviews, easily evaluate employees, alliteration. Create customer reviews with cascading goals, and help your company grow. That is so much better than everything else that you're seeing on SERP. Like, easy to use tool, great. I'm sure your tool is easy to use. I'm really glad that that's a selling point. But like, this gives you the opportunity to position yourself better in the market. Almost write a little bit more of an elevator pitch, or write almost a full tweet of information in this. And the gains that they saw from this, like, genuinely increased click-through rate 10 times what they currently were.
That's insane. That's so insane.
And again, they're not selling a super sexy product, but they use the extra space to say something more, to sell themselves, to write something that's much more of a complete
catchy, yeah.
This is I just have warm fuzzies about this one.
That's awesome.
And so, obviously, this isn't going to be available to everyone right now. WordStream customers have an advantage. They're able to get into this product a little earlier. But if you're waiting for this, like I said, take the summer, write out your expanded text ads in Excel so that when you're ready to upload them into AdWords, you can go and you can do it day one.
You will impress everyone so much because you were so on top of the game.
And that's how you're going to see the click-through gains. Like, straight up, if you looked at your ads right now and tried to just amend an extra 40 characters onto it, you're gonna write. Now, I can, having done exactly that at 11 p.m. the night before I had access, and writing some pretty bad ads. So take some learning experience from me. There's significant gains if you're willing to take some time, actually plan these out, write something new. This is a world of opportunity to advertisers.
Absolutely. And so that brings us to number 2, which is improvements to the AdWords interface. So the AdWords interface today, we are all probably too familiar with at this point. It's kind of taxing, kind of clunky to use. And the reason is you have to dive into something and then dive in on multiple layers.
You load a separate page every time you load something new.
You're constantly adding new pages. Try doing this on a small screen or any device other than your desktop computer. It's a nightmare. It's virtually unusable.
So much scrolling. Even like there's.
You can't see the full page.
It's a responsive page, but it can still make you scroll left and right if you have a small window or a small screen or something like that.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. And it's also just hard to. I mean, in my opinion, it's really hard to navigate, and it takes a long time to get comfortable with it. So Google recognized this and is ready to make a change, and they announced this also at the Performance Summit. So this is a preview of the new AdWords interface. I know it's a little hard to see. Larry was there. He took a screenshot or a photo of it. But you can see there's some really obvious changes happening here.
Right. It's a lot more visually appealing. There's not a scroll aspect to it. Basically, it's going to be that condition where you're going to click on something. You're going to dive into a campaign. You're going to dive into an ad group. And everything you're going to make a change to, it's going to fall in line. And you're going to do a whole lot more, as you dive into things, it's going to be a more left to right navigation as opposed to reloading a page. What it's likely going to look and feel a whole lot more like is it's going to look a whole lot more like the AdWords mobile app, where, again, same kind of idea. It's visually appealing, the kind of graph that you're pulling from this heat map, real natural. It's going to be easy for you to look at this and make conclusions off of data naturally rather than having to take it to Excel or reload a graph or something along those lines. Where you're just pointing, you're clicking, diving in for more information.
Google's understanding that the user is changing, and they're actually taking serious actions to make this fit within our lives, which is awesome. So I know some of our clients were a little bit nervous when they heard about this change and the idea of learning something new, but I think it's going to be very intuitive, as the app is, if any of you guys have tried that out.
Right. But if that's something that totally disinterests you, if you really just love the way that AdWords feels,
you're crazy.
Well, hey, if that's what you like, then Bing has you covered. Bing's also redoing their interface too, and they're adding in a whole lot of inline tools, a lot of the same functionality you get within AdWords.
Right, this looks pretty familiar.
Yeah, Bing's not pulling any new stuff. They're basically trying to have the look and feel of AdWords in their platform, where you can segment information, you can dive in, you can get a lot more clear. The segmentation bar is obviously new within the last month or two. They're adding labels to campaigns, to keywords, to ads. Every place that you have labels in AdWords, you will soon have within Bing, as well as that period comparison reporting, where if you want the year-over-year reporting, month-over-month, whatever have you, that's going to be native within the Bing platform as well. So if you're really in love with how Google feels and you're disappointed about these changes, well, Bing's got you covered.
Yeah, it's like everything we've been asking for in Bing is what they're delivering, but Google's delivering like what we haven't even dreamed of yet. Yeah. They're really like innovating on the platform. So that brings us to point number 3, which is device bid adjustments. This one is very exciting. I'm sure you guys remember back in 2013 when enhanced campaigns came out. And this, until now, I think was probably one of the biggest changes we've seen in AdWords. And what happened was, essentially, we lost this intense level of control over our device bidding. So Google changed so that we were working off one bid and setting modifiers for our mobile, and had no options really with tablets. No. We were just kind of in on tablets like we were in on desktop, and there was no change.
People were not happy.
Yeah.
I remember Google's big line was that people behave the same on desktop and tablets, and every advertiser in the world basically like stood up and said, people don't behave the same on tablet that they do on desktop. Like, it's a different device, it's a different user. And Google was insistent that, like, no, just include tablet, you have to include tablet, same bid, no big deal, same user, same experience. And surprise, most of us found out it wasn't.
And what's interesting about this is we complained and we complained and we complained, and I never thought they would do anything about it. And then, lo and behold, here we are going into 2017, and what do we hear is coming soon? Full device targeting control. What does that mean? It means that optional targeting for each device. You truly can avoid showing ads on mobile if you want to, avoid tablet if you want to, or even desktop. And on top of that, you'll also have the opportunity to set adjustments for every single one of these. So you'll assign a base bid and then adjustments on top of that base bid for the devices that you choose to include. It's not revolutionary. It's going back
like,
to
what's the
something
opposite
similar.
of revolutionary? Like what regressive?
Yeah,
or
we're diving back in time. But Google's giving people what they want, and it's going to give us a lot more flexibility. What does this mean for you as an advertiser? Let's talk a little bit about that.
So basically, I actually had to do digging for this image, but it's going to feel and look and everything's going to act like it was back in 2013. I'm sure that, like, we won't bring back the Harlem Shake or Taylor Swift. Actually, Taylor Swift is going to drop a new album, but, like, everything else, like...
Please don't bring back the Harlem Shake.
Yeah, please don't bring back the Harlem Shake, but bring back the old device targeting methods. So this screenshot is what the AdWords interface, the device settings looked like in 2013 before the migration to enhanced campaign. I almost forgot what it looked like. But you can see that you could check off to see if you want to target desktop, if you want to target tablet, if you want to target mobile. But you would also dive in and you could select which operating systems, which device models, if you want to show up on the iPhone 3.
Versus, yes.
Versus your BlackBerry.
So many options.
Was BlackBerry thing in 2013? Or did that die?
Oh, yeah, they were totally still around in 2013.
All right, thanks.
I think
everyone.
I got my first iPhone.
Yeah. But, like, so although Google hasn't announced that this operating system device model, carriers and Wi-Fi targeting will be coming back, it's reasonable to assume that the infrastructure there still exists and that you'd be able to target people based off of it as well. And so, it's convenient. People actually forgot that enhanced campaigns, although it affected everyone, you were still maintaining a lot of these advanced device targeting options on the display network. So today, before any of these changes even occur, you can still dive in and you can still select which operating systems, which makes and models, which carriers you're targeting on mobile and tablet. And obviously, as you select things, if you want to only show up for recent iPhones or if you want to target individuals who had a certain operating system, you can still do that on the display network. And it just allows you to opt out of desktop, but also just refine your mobile targeting there. Mm-hmm. So that's something you can do today.
Bing also has given you this opportunity for a long time. Bing kind of saw the writing on the wall and recognized that this maybe wasn't the best route to go. So we've been able to do this for quite a while. And as you can see here, you can set tablet bid adjustments in Bing anywhere from -20% to 300%. So I think Bing definitely gets the last laugh on this one.
Yeah, and so this is something that's, again, available today in Bing, available to everyone in Bing. If you're upset about tablet traffic right now, you can go in Bing and make that change today.
Yeah, 100%. And another important thing to recognize is if you have information in Bing that you can use to guide whether you want to make these edits in AdWords, that's viable too, right? Like if you've been doing this in Bing for years, look at what's working for you there, and you may choose to apply that to AdWords when the opportunity exists. All right, let's keep chugging along. I think we're going through. Okay.
So we're looking at local ad formats. Major changes to the local world announced. I feel like every year at the Google Summit, local is becoming
more and more local.
Local is becoming a big thing, and Google's reacting to that. And it's not surprising. You look at local searches, you look at Google Trends, and users who are searching with this kind of local language, just users who are searching for the near me in their search queries, has doubled year over year.
I find myself doing that all the time. It's like we used to type in zip codes, we used to type in like all of these super specific things, and Google's so knowledgeable about our lives now that we don't even have to say. We say near me or nearby.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Erin, you used to, like, back in 2013, you used to, like, have to look up where you were going before you went places. But so you're actually going on vacation tomorrow, and how much planning have you done in advance of that?
I have a ticket.
Found your passport today.
I found my passport this morning. Okay, so I admit it. I will be relying very heavily on my phone. I'm going to Panama for the next week or so, and I know that I can do this because I know that Google is going to help me along the way. So I'll definitely be searching a lot of near me terms.
And so local advertisers have the ability to leverage the fact that they're local to reach local searchers more than ever. Big aspect to this is obviously if you set up your Google My Business account, you unlock so many opportunities. Google verifies the fact that you are a legitimate local business, and they're going to help you with more local-based ad formats, things such as like location extensions, which aren't new, but also everything else we're talking about. So today, these exist right now in the local business, in the local space. If you go into Google Maps, likely where most of us do our local searches, kind of do a search for coffee near me or hotel downtown Boston, and you will see these local ads begin to appear as people are searching in the appropriate area. So obviously, Holiday Inn Express, Holiday Inn Hotel Conference and Center, those are both local to someone who's searching in the Boston area. They take the top spots of that map SERP, and they're paid ads. And they're only paid ads, they're only showing because they've set up their Google My Business account and they're betting on similar kinds of terms within their AdWords account. Mm-hmm. Very similarly, if I were just within the actual navigation of the map and I'm searching for coffee, I'm going to see these yellow pins announcing the fact that there is something that's related here. I'm searching for coffee shops near me. You get a whole lot of organic results. I see Dunkin' Donuts is on it. You see a Pavement Coffee House shows up organically, but this Sofa Cafe is showing up via an ad, and it looks very natural. Honestly, the yellow sticks out more on the red too. Many red dots out there that the yellow is a little start.
Yeah, especially if you look at this one, it really draws your eyes. I find myself clicking on these more and more. Like, these are becoming a part of my daily life, especially when you're on your phone. You're really, you're in a hurry, you don't want to do a ton of scrolling. Whatever's at the top is, what I roll with, ad or no ad. You know what I mean? That doesn't matter. If it's nearby to me and it's offering me what, I really don't care if it's an ad or not. I'm going to go.
Right, and Google announced last week that a third of all mobile traffic was local traffic. People who are searching for things near them. It makes sense. So obviously, local advertisers have a huge mobile game that they have to play. And then also announced these promoted pins. They look a whole lot like the other ads. It's going to be this big purple pin if your search query is related to that thing that people are searching for. Again, get more people to your actual brick and mortar storefront.
Yeah, 100%.
And then last week, this is one of those stories of as we dive into it, more and more announcements coming from Google. So last week at SMX in Seattle, Google announced that this would also begin searching. These ads would also begin showing on the local 3-pack or the local 6-pack of the desktop search within Google Search. So you see it right now. You search for something local, you're going to see a whole bunch of organic local results in this kind of cascading array. This is kind of what you'd begin to expect at the end of the year, is that's going to be led by a sponsored ad.
Mm-hmm. So I guess the bottom line here, if you're a local advertiser, get on top of these, get ready for them, start to take advantage of them. It's awesome that Google is literally rolling out things for you.
Yeah.
100%.
Make sure Google My Business is up to date, that all of your locations are valid. To be totally honest, we recently discovered the WordStream one was set to the wrong floor. We moved floors, and we had to change that one around.
Yeah.
Down on 13 now, so.
And then finally, and this might, I don't know if that's my first favorite or second favorite of the things that came out, but this is super exciting. Demographic targeting for search. This is awesome. We know a lot about our ideal person that we want to connect with, and Google's finally giving us the opportunity to set bid adjustments or exclusions for particular age groups and genders. Pretty straightforward, but Mark has some awesome case studies he wants really how valuable this tool is going to be for advertisers.
Right. So again, we've had some people use this early on. It's actually been available for a year plus now. So we've had tons of people have access to this one. Really enjoyed it. Had a client, they do plastic surgery, and one of their services happens to be breast enlargement. As it turns out, most of their customers are female. Like,
makes sense.
Stretch one. If you want to take a guess at who does the most searches for large breasts on the internet,
I'm going to throw out men.
Yeah.
I feel like I know men enough to know that they're the ones searching those particular terms more than my fellow females.
Right. So obviously there's this kind of disconnect between the bulk of the people who are searching for a term and the actual action you want to deliver, unless like you're trying to like get a bunch of 13-year-old boys to your site who are going to Google to look at something appropriate. That's what they did. They excluded men from seeing their ads, demographic targeting for search.
Connect with the right people, their actual clients, not those.
We saw spend
hormonal
go down. We saw spend go down by 70%, which speaks to the amount of searches that were coming from men off of those kinds of terms. And consequently, when you cut out men, you cut out that spend, and you're not really cutting out any of the people who are eligible for breast enlargement.
Exactly.
Their CPA also fell considerably.
That's cut spend by 70%. That blows my mind. Very cool.
I mean, I was a teenage boy once too, so I understand it.
Okay, what's your next example? The florist.
The florist. All right, so we had a florist come, and you know, everyone buys flowers. This one wasn't uniquely like, obviously the plastic surgery example was one that only women really needed, but everyone buys flowers. But what we saw is, particularly around the holidays, men who come to the site, although they do not come to the site, they do not make up the bulk of the traffic, they do make up the bulk of the conversions. So we're talking like roughly 1/10 of the traffic was male, but roughly half of the sales were male.
As it should be. They should be buying flowers for us in the holidays.
But that's the point.
And what we're doing is perusing the site to pick out what we want, what we hope that they will buy us. So we're spending all of this time searching, but not converting because our boyfriends better be doing it for us. Right?
Same. So what we saw is like men were getting in there, and when they were clicking on these ads, they had a purpose. They wanted to convert. I'm guilty. When I end up searching for flowers, I'm searching for flowers, likely because I made a mistake yesterday, and I want to resolve that immediately.
The easiest way to get out of the doghouse.
So what we did is we started bidding more aggressively for men, knowing the fact that they were considerably more likely to purchase and purchase faster, and quite honestly purchase more expensive flowers. We were able to grow conversions by 50% just by more aggressively targeting that male audience, and at a 20% lower CPA, just because of the fact that so many men were searching and immediately converting relative to their female browsers.
And I think what's interesting, just at these two examples that you've given us, is we've used them very, very differently. One is a completely exclusionary tactic. The other one is simply prioritizing the more highly likely to convert audience. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of ways you can use this strategy to your advantage. Okay, final example.
Last one. We had another client, they do retirement planning. And if you know anything about retirement planning, everyone searches for retirement planning, everyone thinks about it some point in time, like at the end of the year. But in terms of valuable clients you have who are looking at retirement planning, if I search for retirement planning, I'm 27. Erin, you're in your young 20s as well. But Erin and I aren't necessarily the type of people that we're not high value retirement planning people. Like, I'm willing to put aside like maybe $50 this month for my retirement planning because I'm awful like that. I'm currently planning for my vacation.
I don't think I've ever planned for my retirement.
So we're low search interest. We're not the most valuable clients you can get. Whereas, you know, my dad is genuinely planning his retirement right now. He's searching for retirement planning. He needs help now. He's willing to put value into this. What this client did is he basically just excluded users under the age of 45, knowing the fact that we weren't the target audience. Even if we're searching for retirement planning, we're not really ready to put money into it. He's not going to wait around for me. He's not going to see my money 30 years from now. He's looking for money today. And what he saw is just immediately cut his spend in half. He's not targeting ads to me and Aaron anymore. And he's receiving much higher quality leads. Mm-hmm. So this isn't so much a story of like cutting your CPA or even growing your conversions, but it is freeing up your salespeople, it's freeing up your time, it's improving the quality of leads just because you know how your customer base looks. And so obviously this is coming soon, likely by the end of the year to Google. It already exists on Bing.
Yeah, the pun.
For years. So of course, if you have the strong preference, male, female, age ranges, if you have the option to go in there right now, create bid adjustments. I believe you can decrease your bid all the way down to decrease your bid by 90% for these audiences in Bing. You can't necessarily exclude them, but you can certainly spend considerably less money on them.
Yeah, 100%. Get comfortable with this in Bing, see how it works, and then use that to inform what you do in AdWords when it becomes available.
And so, also available on display campaigns within Google. So right now today, you can actually go in, if you know how people are performing on your site, you can go in, add exclusions, create bid adjustments for anything in display based off of gender, age, or parental status, actually, on the display network. And you can really dive in there, see detailed information exactly how people are navigating your display campaigns, and use that as an indicator for how to set up your search campaigns when you have access to this. Mm-hmm. Or you can dive into Google Analytics. Google Analytics is kind of the holy grail here. You can dive in, you can actually see the demographics of how people convert on your website as is. So if this client that we're looking at, their GA, they happen to sell over-the-counter like first aid drugs or nicotine, how to stop quitting drugs. Yeah. What we see is just looking at age ranges, we see that younger people, they convert on his site, but they convert at half the rate or a third of the rate of older people on his site. So that obviously gives him an indication of when he has access to this kind of targeting, how he should begin to approach it, knowing the fact that the older audience is generally a more valuable audience for him.
Mm-hmm. One thing I will say, and Mark, I know will be proud of me for thinking this way, given that you're a data nerd yourself, but don't just guess. Take the time to dive into these platform to understand who your audience is. I think so often we assume that we know the best audience, and it's not always the case. I have a friend who advertises for a brand that sells luxury purses. He thought all of his traffic was going to be female, and to his surprise, it was all men buying purses for the women in their lives. So don't assume. Take the time to look at this data. It will paint the picture for you and tell you what you need to do. And finally, as these changes roll out, and as always, it's a good practice, just keep a close eye on your performance. Always be mindful of what's going on. That's the best way to react to changes in AdWords. Have your account, be reactive to these changes, and when you have the opportunity, like right now, when you can be proactive, get ready to be proactive and start prepping for these changes. And hopefully we gave you some good insight on how you can do that.
Hopefully.
So we're going to turn things over to Callie. She has a couple cool special offers to provide to you guys today.
Thanks so much, guys. That was awesome. So yeah, as Erin mentioned, I have some special offers for you guys. And Erin, feel free to chime in if you have anything else to add to these. But first up, we have a free live demo of the WordStream Advisor. This is where someone will teach you how you can manage your PPC in 20 minutes a week. Also working with WordStream, you get insight into changes like this coming down the pipeline, so we can kind of help you prepare your account. Next up, we have a one-on-one AdWords assessment with an AdWords certified consultant. So what they'll do is they'll point out where you're doing really well in your account and where there's opportunity to improve. So this is definitely one that I would recommend taking advantage of. And then thirdly, if you don't need any help, that's cool too. Now I have a couple questions for you experts. First up, will these changes apply to Google grants too for all the people who are using AdWords as a nonprofit?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, these are universal changes when they come out. They're not going to be out immediately, but as these roll out, they will apply to everyone using AdWords.
Yeah, I have a Google grant in these betas right now, so yeah.
Cool. All right. So when you say write your ads, please tell us why the performance review ad worked better.
Sure.
You want this one?
The Namely one?
The Namely one, yeah.
Yeah. So I think what Mark's trying to get at, and that was a good example, but the goal is not just to add more words to make your ad bigger. The goal is to provide more compelling information to convince people to click through on your ad. So it's not about this notion of like stuffing it with words. It's stuffing it with unique content that will capture people's attention and encourage them to click through to the site.
Yeah, I think that B2B, and particularly software B2B, struggles a lot right now, and the fact that like your searches are long searches. They're likely 25 characters each. HR software. Not basically you're saying like, yes, we are HR software. HR software. Buy us, we're great. And that's like what your 90 character ads look like today. Take the 140 characters now. Kind of rethink how you write your ads, what you're kind of sell yourself. Speak of your features, speak of your offers, speak of your sales. Take advantage of the fact that you have space to write something intelligent, as opposed to just right now a lot of us are keyword stuffing or forced to keyword stuffing. World to write.
Yeah, take advantage of it. And you know what? If nothing else, take this as a time to get in and refresh your ads. Too few of us actually bother to do that, and it's an important thing that we should be doing on a regular basis. Google's forcing you to do it now, so really give it your all and make the most of the change.
Great. For demographic targeting, where does the age and gender identification come from?
So basically, without getting super into how Google works, everything that you have on the internet, every time you're using Google, particularly if you're logged into your Gmail account, when you click Gmail account, one of the things Google asks you is your birthday and your gender. And those aren't optional
questions. Not because they're going to send you a birthday card.
Yeah. So Google does have a lot of information on who its users are. A lot of it's coming from that, but if it's not coming specifically from your Google account, your Droid, whatever you're logged into on your Google account, a lot of this information, if you pass your AOL account actually is linked to your Google account. Your Facebook account shares information with your Google account. Yeah. Your Xbox account actually passes information on to Bing. So like generally,
yeah, these networks are so heavily built out, and there's so many partnerships that everybody is sharing information. That Google knows a ton about you, and rather than, I understand the whole like getting hung up because it's creepy. In some ways, it's a great thing. Like I want ads that are relevant to me, and Google's giving us the opportunity to give people more relevant ads.
I don't want breast enlargement ads.
Yeah, exactly.
It's inappropriate. So I'd rather get sports. Whereas there are other people who might be more applicable to. But anyways, even if you don't have one of these accounts, Google's still mining your data in terms of what are you searching for. Are you searching for sports? Are you searching for retirement planning? What are you? That's going to give Google an idea of how old you are, just a general profile of you as a user. And it's pretty easy to put people into buckets like this.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, well, unfortunately, we're out of time for today, so that concludes our webinar. Mark and Erin, thank you very much for your insight. As usual, you're a pleasure to thank our audience for taking the time out of their busy schedule for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you at a future WordStream webinar. And as I noted at the beginning of our presentation, be on the lookout for an email from the one and only Erin Sagan. She will send out the recording and slides later today. Don't hesitate to reach out with any additional questions.